Hi, welcome to Wilson Bridge. I'm Brian Drew, Senior Strategist at Wilson Advertising.
And I'm Devin Meister, Content Director.
And today we're going to be talking about customer engagement optimization. Customer engagement optimization is the process of having technology properly voice your brand's personality and culture. Right, Devin? And Devin, you're going to talk a little bit more about how that works.
Yeah, so technology impacts how the customers perceive and interact with your brand, which is really different now that it's a two-way conversation, where previously all marketing was push, push, push. Brands pushed out their message. Customers didn't really have a way to interact back. Now, the where and when those conversations happen really depends on your technology. Your technology really drives where and when those conversations will happen. So if you're in a bricks and mortar store, the technology you'll need to be different than if you're in the sales in the field. Where you communicate with those customers is critical. One big platform everybody's familiar with is social, and mobile is continuously growing, but just because all your audience has a mobile phone doesn't mean you have a mobile audience all the time.
Right.
Some of the brands really nail the way that they interact with their customers and their personality. Personality comes through on the platform, and some brands just don't always seem to get it right, no matter how hard they try. One great example is past couple Super Bowls. Brands have gone both ways on that. And one great example we thought was Volvo.
Right. Yeah, Volvo did an interesting thing a few years back, I think in 2015. They ran an awareness campaign. At the time, Volvo was struggling with more market share in America, the United States, and they wanted to do a brand awareness campaign without actually buying a Super Bowl ad. And so what they did was they challenged people to participate in a competition, a contest. During the Super Bowl, when different auto companies would run Super Bowl ads, they asked people to get on Twitter and tweet that hashtag Volvo contest, and along with that, state someone that they would think deserves to win a Volvo. So Volvo was also giving away Volvos through this campaign. What happened is they ended up actually getting a larger audience during the Super Bowl and up to 50,000 tweets during that campaign. And without actually buying a Super Bowl ad, they were the ones being talked about during the Super Bowl. And it ended up getting them 220 million impressions of earned media. So it was highly effective, and they were able to leverage the Super Bowl and leverage technology. So it was a brilliant tactic. But more important than the tactic was actually this was customer engagement optimization at its best, because this reflected Volvo's brand, I think, beautifully. It was not loud. It embodied the fact that they wanted people to nominate a loved one, a family member, or a friend to win a Volvo, not themselves. It was soft, it was creative, it was clever. Everything that you would think about in terms of the personality of Volvo was symbolic in what was already a brilliant tactic. And so that's the idea of CEO, taking your brand's personality and bridging it in a way where the technology being used is honest to the voice.
Yeah, so Volvo is very others focused. They've always been about the driver, not about the car. So they think of their drivers typically are concerned about safety and reliability and things that make that better. So the fact that campaign, is sort of under the radar, it's sort of low key, but it's also other focused where it's nominate somebody who you think deserves a car. So you're thinking beyond, hey, not you could win a car. It's not
Correct.
ego, it's how could I better this person's life?
Yep, and when a Super Bowl spot at the time was around $5 million for 30 seconds. So when their competitors were wanting the audience to be paying attention to their ads, the people were actually thinking and talking about Volvo and the contest. So it was a great interception, a great steal of audience, and it was also talked about after the Super Bowl. So they got the same effect a lot of times that commercials get, and so they earned a lot of media and good media. But most importantly, it's more than just the tactic. It's more than just the way in which they did it. It's that that campaign leveraged technology in a way that was brand first. And it was very symbolic of their personality. So I think that's particularly well done.
Right, I agree.
Another example, also in the automobile market, the truck market actually, is Ram this year in 2018 ran a Super Bowl ad that was around their Built to Serve campaign. And a little bit of history, Ram has been, I think in 2010, so several years ago, separated from Dodge, and Ram became its own brand. And since then, you've been seeing a lot of rebranding and personality-driven content from Ram that has a long live Ram, guts glory Ram.
Expected truck stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And also tied together with a lot of Super Bowls. You've seen the around the playoffs times, you've seen the praise ad, which was paying praise to hardworking Americans. You've seen the farmer ad a couple Super Bowls ago. So they've been adjusting, but the Built to Serve, they actually used audio of a sermon that Dr. Martin Luther King gave back in 1968. Coincidentally, it actually was February 4th, 1968, the same day of the Super Bowl. And the idea was, it was a very romantic ad and eloquent, and I think it was the kind of ad that, when watched, might have given people a lot of sense of appreciation. Obviously, the voice of Dr. King was great, but I think it left a lot of customers, in my opinion, wondering whether or not this was really relevant to the personality of Ram. Is this, as many people on Twitter said, are they really using Dr. King to sell trucks? And I have to think that Ram stepped a line a little bit here. I believe that the Build to Serve campaign is an okay cause, but I don't know that that's really what Ram's brand stands for. I don't know if that's actually what they what they want, what they embody. And if that's the direction they're going, it's a little bit of a jump to say, okay, here's our new campaign, Built to Serve. So now let's connect ourselves to one of the greatest servants of humanity, right? That's a stretch. We talked about when Domino's decided to come out and say, okay, we admit it, our pizza's kind of crappy. We're redoing our pizza. We've heard you, and they went through a whole campaign of trying to reinvent who they were. Ram's just coming out saying, we stand by being a good public servant. We stand by those who serve, and I think that they're kind of exaggerating emotion here, and you see that in a lot of their advertising. Is we're just going to use brilliant video, brilliant song, tug at the heartstrings, emotion, right? And then say Ram. And I believe that's overplayed. Do you agree?
Yeah, I don't think you can jump next to one of the greatest historical figures ever in front of the world's biggest audience, live audiences, and just say, here, yeah, this is us, and people are going to buy in right away. It's just not... It's just painting over, trying to paint over, gloss over, without building the foundation to say this is our brand. You're just throwing another tagline almost on top of it, and it just doesn't play. Right,
and it seems like they've been moving quickly through a lot of different types of campaigns. And it's more than just the quip, really you're going to use Martin Luther King to sell trucks. While that's true, that's what it seems like. It's from a branding and marketing perspective, I think it's a little deeper than that. You're spending a lot of money making a high quality commercial, and you're aligning your brand and making your brand a personality that I don't think is genuinely true. Now, in Ram's defense, they probably have been emboldened by the fact that they're taking a lot of market share in the truck market, right? A lot of people looked at taking Ram and Dodge and separating the two. A lot of people looked at that and said that's a terrible idea. It's actually been largely successful. So on one hand, you could say I think they've been emboldened and felt like their emotional, aggressive campaign style so far has worked for them. But I think this was a risk that they didn't have to take. I think that going back to customer engagement optimization. You know your brand's personality, and it's an earned personality. So you want to be that. You're going to need to take a lot of steps to get there. You're going to have to earn the right to really make prove that that's our personality. And it isn't just a series of marketing gigs where maybe you've planted some trees or done X, Y, or Z. if you're going to align yourself with a leader like that, I think there's a better way to do it. So.
I agree, 100%.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thanks.